of people want to forget that there is racism in the world. Rewrite authors like Brazilian Monteiro Lobato just because he said a character had black meat and wrote a book about a race war after the election of a black American president? Well, even then it's best to know your enemy. And since we're talking about the people who pretend the guy wasn't elected and re-elected, they've done many very, very absurd things.
86% European and
even though they are obviously wrong.
Give it to him! Give it to him!
14% Sub-Saharan African.
Vocês não cansam de falar bobagem, não? Vão inventar outra coisa pra fazer.
So let's talk about one of those. Go Black and the Sebben Dwarfs. This 1943 cartoon is a version of Snow White done with an all-black cast. And to analyze this short, we have to keep something in mind. Not everything is an attack against black people.
Well, hallelujah!
No. Why be xenophobic against just a race when we can attack so many groups at once? And really, not everything here is racist. Some attacks are not in themselves xenophobic at all. For instance, part of the Queen's riches being rationed products. A use of the public opinion of the time, who saw the disparity between the rich and the poor. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And no Batman either. Also, the preference for the dance of the time instead of the classical dance suggested by the first movements, saying that this was a more realistic version than another still fresh in people's memories. And the evil queen's dazzling castle just doesn't show the same magic. There's not a single fairy.
Why don't you fuck off?
The cartoon starts with a black maid. That thicker woman who takes care of the house, is caring but uninformed and probably doesn't speak very well. This is definitely a stereotype, in which, by the way, the same character I mentioned, Aunt Anastasia, fits.
Me deixe cozinhar em paz.
But it is a fact that people with less access to education do speak poorly and work in such jobs. Be that good or bad, this does occur till today, in fact. This is not, in itself, prejudice. However, when you see that not just the maid or the child, but the queen, the prince, and the whole cast uses this kind of English, you're dealing not just with racism, but one of the worst kinds possible. The notion that culture comes from races. This is a common inversion in the United States. Instead of saying that cultures relate characteristics to specific groups, they say that groups have their characteristics out of the blue. This is particularly dangerous because it is used to justify minorities as groups attacking local culture.
Você está empregado aqui no Brasil? Tá, né? Você sabe quantos mil brasileiros perderam o emprego mês passado?
Or needing to contribute something special for the right to live there.
Você tem treinamento militar?
But also to say, we are different from you.
Oh, somebody bring me some milk, cause he come a big Oreo.
When a minority decides to continue an antiquated practice, like hitting their kids, getting drunk in front of the children, or keeping a number of racist symbols as official representations.
Yeah. We're still flying the Confederate flag over the Capitol, where the pastor of this church had to pass right in front of it every day to go to work in the Senate in that state in South Carolina. No worries, guys. We never have to discuss this. Even when the perpetrator says, I'm here to kill black people, wore the Rhodesia and South Africa, white South Africa flags on his person, and announced what his intentions were, which were clearly racist.
And if you think culture just sprouts out of races, find me an anti-Japanese joke before World War II. This hate didn't come out of nowhere, and it was a war period. That's the reason for the rationed products joke and the negative view of certain countries. But in the United States, this led to putting many citizens without any relation to the country of Japan into concentration camps. To years and years of racism and a musical, for some reason. The idea of culture coming from race is also used in a more subtle way, in the opposite direction, to suggest that white people are better than black, even if there are no Caucasian characters. This is seen in the main character's presentation, which makes sure to say,
My hair's coal black, but my name's so white. I wash it all day, and I got the blues in the night.
While the first sentence presents her as white despite being black, the second reinforces her as deserving compassion because she works. She is the only character drawn less like a caricature, being comparable to a Tex Avery's Red, though she dresses more like Daisy Duke. The Sebben Dwarfs are the only other characters shown positively, as the heroes who fight the queen. And in a totally unrelated fact, they are in the army. Yet, they don't wake up as early as her and are more cartoony, kind of implying all black people are automatically lazy. And only the woman who wants to be white has some non-stereotypical character. The prince, who shows up just to get so white, is out during the middle of the cartoon because he's a coward. The killers are, well, killers, but have no moral code either, as they let so whites live. And the queen is quite literally a gangster when she hires them, decades before the use of the word got popular. And, of course, the term used has black right there, which I doubt was an accident. Of course, we also have the feminist chauvinism of the protagonist getting her freedom in exchange for kisses, and whatever happened in the back seats there. A prejudice that existed already and still does today,
Cartier.
if it didn't get worse with the vast proliferation of art glorifying the female butt and the exploitation of women for sex.
Millennials should be called Generation Ass.
Ironically, a version of this cartoon found online succeeds in being even more racist by ending the cartoon with the scene in which So White is put down as if she was dead, implying her death as just an end, common and normal. And this brings us to one of the still much used defenses of prejudice. The old, it could be worse. It's a cartoon with an all-black cast. How could it be bad? Yeah, but even the most well-drawn characters still look like she's wearing blackface. The makeup imposed onto black people so they could act in the theater. And they are all bad except the one openly declaring herself black on the outside but white on the inside. The notion that this is not so bad is particularly offensive. There are in fact some good parts in the cartoon, like the phonetic joke with the cars and the Jimmy Durante reference. The attacks on Disney are really well done also. But it isn't because you like the smart parts that the rest of it isn't just dumb prejudice. Besides those little jokes, and maybe inspiring the perils of Penelope Pitstop, the only one that really works for me is the one that ends the cartoon, implied by the only sentence in the whole short that doesn't rhyme.
Man, what you got that makes So White think you so hot?
Well, that is a military secret.
For those of you who missed it, here's a scene from a Brazilian sexploitation movie with the same idea.
Mas me trocar por esse anão?
Ah, não. Mas com uma... deste tamanho.
I'm Bonito, you're beautiful, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like, leave your comments and share this video to help the channel grow. Bambi actually lost money. In the same year, 90% of the animators had been drafted, and, just to be patriotic, Disney starts producing anti-Nazi propaganda shorts for the American government. Among them, maybe the most famous is The Curious Face, starring no other than Donald Duck. That aside, the great demon emperor still plans to conquer Japan and the world! Working at McDonald's, and on his diabolical mission, he lends his umbrella to a girl on his way to work.
It's an ass. It's been around for centuries.